Welcome back to another Sunday night show. We're going to go over some stock market related news and things you should watch for this upcoming trading week. First off, right off the bat, we had the S&P sell-off. Nasdaq is in correction mode, down 11%. And as I mentioned weeks back, S&P seemed like it had a strong support around 4,500. If it breaks that, it's going to go lower, and that it did. S&P futures were trading at 43.80, I believe. Hang on one second. I just want to make sure I said this right. It was 43.81 on the front-running futures contract, and it just could not catch a bid, you guys, last week. You could tell it had that bleed out formation. There were a couple of times where I did take my short position off and reposition it. I did pretty good on the overall S&P mini futures trades. It was a very profitable trade shorting S&P futures. Where we go from here is no one really knows. I think it once again depends on what the Fed does. The Fed does not seem to ever like the market ever correcting, even 10, 15, 20%. I think some of the Omicron or the new COVID strand, related bad news is already starting to get baked in. And a lot of the continuation of selling pretty much is up to the Fed. So one piece of Fed news can easily turn this market around, make it go higher. But right now we're in bleed out mode. I don't know what's going to happen Monday, but if the formation continues, it's going to continue to bleed out because there was no bid in sight on Thursday and Friday. Bids were followed by incredible selling and just the bleed out selling. And honestly, I think those bids that you guys saw, those rallies of 20, 30 points, those were just market makers trying to cover their long positions. Usually as a market maker, what tends to happen in that type of business is as the market's falling because people are selling, you're forced to buy these shares because you're making a market, right? You're allowing liquidity from for all these other investors selling. So they end up holding the bag on a lot of long positions. Market makers don't lose money, you guys. So those rallies you saw of like 20 points on the S&P, those are market makers able to offload their positions. So just be cognizant with these rallies. We're gonna see how the market does. The tape is looking weak. Do I think we crash from here? Probably not. The tape is weak. And I will probably continue to short the market on Monday. My short positions are off, by the way. I take them off over the weekend regardless, but I'm very curious to see what is going to happen Monday on open. So far, really bad start to the new year. Oh, I just wanted to mention to you guys, I am vaccinated and I actually got Omicron or the COVID, I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I basically got COVID, the new strain. I recovered in 2 days with the vaccine, but I had a nasty case of tonsillitis, which is why I couldn't film a video last week. Anyway, let's get right into the big news. We have, what am I watching for this upcoming trading week? If I'm being honest, this is a major earnings calendar week. We're gonna see if some of these earnings can save the market. Keep in mind, we're going to have some big names like Microsoft, Apple, Tesla. These names are very, very frothy, and the market seems like it's in selling mode right now. So we're going to see if even good news causes these stocks to sell off, because I don't think Microsoft's going to be reporting bad news. Netflix may have reported bad news. That's another set of scenarios altogether. I don't think Microsoft is going to be reporting bad news. I don't know if Facebook's going to be reporting bad news. So we're going to see this week if potentially good news causes the market to sell off further, because that's very bearish if the market sells off in good news. That means the market's now scared of valuations coming down to earth. So keep that in mind. That's the only reason I'm looking at earnings this week. I'm probably not going to be trading the stocks directly this week. I love when volatility picks up. You can make a lot of money trading S&P futures, or for you guys who want to try it, QQQ, QLD if you want double exposure, QID, SPY, SDS for double exposure to the downside, and SSO for double exposure to the positive side on S&P 500. The other thing I'd like you guys to also keep in mind, growth has beyond crashed. There's so many growth stocks. God, man, Palantir. Palantir, I'm just upside down right now. I want to talk about my Palantir investment. It's an investment, you guys, not a trade. I define that separately, but my investment is just getting clobbered, completely clobbered. I never sold it. A lot of other things I traded out of when they were losing. Palantir for me was a long-term investment, getting clobbered. But the reason I'm bringing this up is it's not just Palantir. Look at all the growth stocks now. They're all down. Some of them, a lot of them are down more than 50%. You know, obviously the Russell 2000 is not down 50%, but like a lot of the high-flying growth names are now down huge. So if you were invested in them, they've beyond crashed. So I know people are panicking about the 10% drop in the market, but honestly, a lot of growth stocks have already crashed, and I'm a little shocked that they're still bleeding out because we have such a huge discrepancy from the high-flying tech stocks to the growth stocks. So essentially, that's another thing that I kind of want to start to see coming up. Does growth bounce along with the market, or does growth continue to bleed even though the rest of the market bounces? Anyway, since we had no IPOs or things like that to talk about, that's all I wanted to talk about. I only want to talk about one stock from last week, that's DWAC. Make sure you focus on DWAC and you focus on Netflix because they dropped crazy. DWAC had a crazy rally and Netflix just got clobbered last week. So I'm going to be watching Netflix as some people think it's oversold, but you never know because valuations might be coming down to earth. But Netflix is probably going to be one of my larger trades for this upcoming week. Not sure how I'm going to position it. All I know is it's going to move. Now, with some people are going to also ask me about Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft. Microsoft does have earnings on Tuesday, but rather than worrying about whether to put your money in Facebook, Amazon, or whatever, if you're nervous about it and you feel like this is a buying opportunity and you're not sure what to pick, just buy SPY or QQQ. You'll be fine. But I personally am going to play my hands a little bit closer. What's the saying? I'm going to play my cards closer to the vest here. I will be ready to short the market again if we start seeing more of a correction. If it rallies, I'm just going to let everything breathe and pray some of the growth stocks I'm in bounce back. So what I'm watching this week, I'm going to mention one new name outside of DWAC and Netflix. I think DraftKings is pretty oversold right now. It's at $19 a share. But some of these names that have been bleeding out have been bleeding out way more than I thought they would. So DraftKings might still be overvalued according to the market at 19, but that's another one I'm watching. Earnings-wise, Tuesday we have Microsoft, and I'm going to look at Microsoft as a key indicator of whether or not good news is going to continue to sell. Are investors going to continue to sell into good news? I think Microsoft is going to have good earnings numbers, but that doesn't necessarily mean the market is going to value it this way right now because for all we know, the opinions of traders could change. It seems like people are starting to get nervous about valuations again, and valuations might start coming down even on good news. That's why Microsoft for me is a very key earnings that I'm going to watch. Not necessarily for the trade. I'm going to see what happens with good earnings, and I'm going to also watch American Express. Because a lot of the credit card companies, American Express is on Tuesday, a lot of the credit card companies actually have a higher, what they call higher consumer spending. And a lot of that has to do with just inflation numbers being really high. So we're going to see American Express. Next week, we also have Visa. I'm not actually going to be trading Visa. American Express is still a good trade on its own, which is why I'm mentioning it. But I'm looking also, does American Express rally on good news, because I think they're going to have pretty good news, and we're going to see what happens. Banks did not do all that great last week, in my opinion. So, and the markets did sell off as a result. Wednesday, we have a biggest earnings of the week. We have Tesla stock, so I'm definitely watching that. Intel's a big one, and the reason I'm mentioning this is the US is having a chip shortage, and Intel is a stock that they might start building like warehouses and facilities here in the United States, in Ohio, a potential $50 billion investment on Intel's part to set up a chip facility. If you just type in INTC into Google, you'll get a little bit more details about it. I don't have enough time to talk about it, but I want Intel to be on your radar. I was very bearish on Intel for a long time because I was very bullish on AMD for a very long time. Anyway, we have X-Links also. Probably not going to watch that much, but it's normally a good trade. Boeing as well is usually a good bellwether indicator of the overall market. Sometimes it can be a very good earnings trade. These are all on Wednesday. Thursday, we have American Steel, usually a very, very good trade on earnings. And we have Apple, which is another name I'm going to be watching whether the market decides to potentially sell off on good news. So watching Apple as well. We have MasterCard on Thursday as well. And that's more or less it. We got Caterpillar on Friday. We have a whole bunch of names, you guys, like AT&T, Verizon, all that bullshit, but they're not even worth trading, honestly. So I want you guys to be prepared this week. A lot of you guys have portfolios that are heavy in growth. I don't have much of a portfolio. I have Palantir. Anyway, that's it for me this week. I really want to thank you all for watching. I tried to run through this week a little bit quicker. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the overall markets. And for those of you who are really nervous that you're down 10 or 15%, keep in mind Nancy Pelosi's husband has been buying call options on a lot of the FANG names. Like you guys can read about it. Just type in Nancy Pelosi's husband buying stocks. You can actually track his options contracts. He's been buying call options out of the money on a lot of the FANG names. So if you're upside down money, even the really rich are also upside down a lot of money. People in Congress are down a lot of money. So we'll see what happens here. Maybe they will start printing money again and we can all make money together. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. See you all next week. I've decided I'm gonna grow my beard out until Palantir finally bounces above 18. Okay, I take that back.